All right, let's just jump right in. We all want our lives to be meaningful, but what does that really mean? Is a life defined by its grand finale? You know, the outcome, the big achievement, how it all ends? Or is the real value found somewhere else, in the day-to-day journey itself? That's the big question we're digging into today.
This one line from the movie The Last Samurai just nails the whole idea we're talking about. It's such a powerful pushback against defining someone by their last moment and instead choosing to honor the way they lived their entire life. Let's unpack the story behind it.
So, we're going to start with a story from a film because, honestly, it illustrates this theme so well. It's a story about transformation, honor, and a clash between two totally different ways of looking at the world.
So the story follows this guy, Captain Nathan Algren. He's a man haunted by his past, and he goes to Japan to train a modern army. But in a twist, he's captured by the very samurai he was supposed to help destroy. And as he lives among them, something really profound starts to happen. He discovers their code, Bushido. And what he finds is that it isn't just a set of rules for a fight, it's a complete philosophy for living. It's a process that's all about integrity, discipline, and honor in every single moment. This way of life gives him a purpose he thought he'd lost for good, and he ends up joining their cause.
So how does it end? Well, it's pretty tragic. For all their incredible skill and bravery, the samurai's swords are just no match for modern guns. Their leader, Katsumoto, facing defeat, chooses to die an honorable death on the battlefield, just as his code demands. So if you're only looking at the final score, the outcome? It's a complete failure, right? They lost. End of story.
And this is where it all comes together. This is the key moment. After the battle, Algren goes to the emperor. The emperor, who's totally focused on the result, just asks, "Tell me how he died." But Algren, who saw the man's entire journey, he knows the process mattered more. And he pushes back, saying, "No, I will tell you how he lived." You see the difference? One man wants the final snapshot. The other wants the whole photo album.
Okay, so that story is a great jumping off point for a much bigger idea. Because this isn't just about samurai, right? It's about this tension we all feel in our own lives when we think about what really truly matters.
You know, in a lot of cultures, there's this huge emphasis on finishing well. There's this Korean concept, Yujong Jimi, which perfectly captures this idea. It means the beauty of a good ending. It's this deep belief in making sure the final step of anything you do is handled with care, so it brings honor to the whole effort. And that makes sense, right? Of course that's important. We all want our hard work to pay off.
But this leads to that classic question, doesn't it? If we get totally obsessed with just the outcome, does it matter how we get there? Does a win that you got by any means necessary still feel like a real victory? It's definitely something to think about.
Here's the thing. The result is the what. It's what you achieved, the goal you hit. Simple enough. But the process, that's the how. And that's where all the good stuff is. That's where you find integrity and character and the real meaning behind the win. A great outcome, at the end of the day, only has real value when it was built on a good process.
So now let's take this idea, process over outcome, and apply it to one of the most well-known stories in the world, a story where both the life and the death are seen as incredibly important.
So, for Christians, the death of Jesus is, of course, absolutely central. The whole idea is that he died on the cross for the salvation of humanity. The outcome there, redemption, is huge. You just can't overstate its importance.
But here's the catch. The argument is that if you only focus on his death, you're actually missing a huge part of the story. The real meaning of that final sacrifice is totally tied up in the life that came before it. You can't separate the two. His death isn't just this isolated event. It's the period at the end of a very long, very important sentence.
So what about that life? I mean, the Gospels spend way more time talking about how he lived than how he died. And his life was a process, right? It was a life dedicated to preaching this message of hope, of actually caring for the weak and marginalized, of challenging corrupt systems, and then, crucially, building a community, training people to carry on that work. It was that process, that life, that gave the final moment its incredible power.
Okay, so what's the takeaway here for us right now? Because this isn't just some abstract history lesson. It's a direct challenge to how we think about living our own lives, especially for anyone who follows this particular path. This one invitation is so key. Learn from me. Notice it doesn't just say, "Hey, remember my death?" No. It's a call to study his life, his methods, his process, his humility, and then try to model your own life on that. It's like signing up for a lifelong apprenticeship. At the end of the day, authenticity isn't about the words you say. It's not about the label you give yourself. True discipleship is proven in the small, daily actions. that quiet process of making your life actually match up with your beliefs. Your life itself becomes the proof.
The theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer had a really sharp way of putting this. He called faith without action cheap grace. Think about that. Cheap grace. It's the idea of wanting the gift but feeling no need to respond to it. It's like wanting the trophy without ever going to practice. But real faith, what he called costly grace, that demands something from you. It demands a process. It demands discipleship.
And let's be real, that process, it's not the easy path. It's described as a narrow road for a reason, because it takes commitment. It takes self-denial and personal sacrifice. It means you have to choose the harder right over the easier wrong again and again. It costs you something.
So, this brings us full circle. Anyone's death, that's just one moment in time. But how you live, that's your entire lifetime. It's the sum total of millions of moments, millions of choices. It's the whole process. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When it's all said and done, what will your life prove?